All right, welcome to the good stuff. This is the big 4-0.
This is the only time I'm going to celebrate the big 4-0.
Episode
There will be no celebration of my big 4-0 later in the year. This is going to be quietly forgotten. We're going to move past that very quickly.
It's very different. It's very similar to being 39 or 41.
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
As far as I can tell.
I think it's this lead up. This is what everyone says, right? It's the lead up to 40, the months prior. And then once it happens, it's like, all right, it's out of the way.
I think the key is go hard on getting your midlife crisis out early doors, like mid to late 30s, and then you're free. I feel like your 40s aren't so bad.
I feel like I've been doing that for a decade. We're good.
We're
covered.
There's probably a few more to go. But,
welcome.
Yeah.
We're back.
So
40 episodes, man. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well done us.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Well done me.
We haven't missed
3, 2, 1. We haven't
missed a week either since we started. That's pretty. I don't think.
Yeah. Even we released on Christmas Day and New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we didn't record on those days,
No.
but that's pretty solid. Well done.
We were at the beach, so that's fun.
That's true. You got to go to the beach on Christmas Day. It was roasting hot.
It was. No, that's solid. I mean, yeah, 40 episodes is big. I'm sure we're in the top 1% of all
numbers of podcasts
in terms of how many episodes have been recorded. Surely
it probably is. I think that Spotify creator wrapped thing that we got
right.
that was had similar stats. I was quite surprised by that. So I thought, nobody listens to this.
I think it's one of those things where everyone starts a podcast and then
just
inevitably gives up after 4 episodes. Yeah.
There you go. Well, we made it.
We made it. 40. Very good.
All right. So I think we were about 20 minutes into just discussing stuff that we probably should have discussed on the podcast.
Probably
we
could
were
have.
just like, there we go. I think we had a couple of suggestions in the chat. So we had just different ways we've changed methodologies. I think I said something about I've got a renewed appreciation for loops and iteration. And there was something else that I forgot.
Yeah, it's obviously very important.
I'll look that up while you ad-lib. Change methodologies. Digital lemonade stands.
That's it. Yeah, so. It's a bit niche, that one. Do you want to go there? Do you want to go there first?
Yeah, go on. So digital lemonade stand was just this is a concept that was talked about on episode 22 with Gigi, where he talked about the web and how new changes to the web and how we're building things are probably going to mean that things do get decentralized a bit, and we're not maybe the approach isn't to go and build massive crazy world dominating companies, but there's space for the digital lemonade stand. And the digital lemonade stand is the idea is just that it's like a little business that you can just put out there in cyberspace and people can come by and give you some money. And there's no there's no setup, there's no applying for I don't know, allowance. You don't have to go and get register with the council. Yeah, it's permissionless. There's no, you don't have to go and register for a permit to sell lemonade. So what would that look like? And so I thought, I'll launch one. So I had a project I built for myself was called Ambulando, which eventually is going to be my entire fitness tracking app, but currently is just starting off as a habit tracking app. And so the idea is it's I can go in, I can define whatever measures I want that I want to track on a day-to-day basis, and I can specify good, bad, like a rating out of 10, just a number that I want to track, or timers and all these different message types. And then it just, from whatever I specify them as, it just generates me a very quick form that I can put them in. It takes me a second. It just lives on my phone. You just bang, 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 bang. That's the details for the day. And I can add some notes and things and nice and subjective things. And it encrypts everything that I do and then stores it in a database in the cloud. Just in a way that the database in the cloud has no idea of what's in there. So it's all encrypted to my Nostr keys. And I was like, cool, this is sweet, I could do that. I thought, well, it's January, other people might want to track some habits, so I'll put that out. So I launched it yesterday on Nostr for people to go and give it a go. I didn't include the URL. I realised I did add a video of me using it, which I thought, you should do that. And then afterwards I was like, fuck, I didn't even give anyone the URL. So a few people had gone on. I mean, like I said, looked at the video and figured out where I was.
Yeah.
But I was like,
rookie error
with that one. But one of the things that didn't exist in last week's podcast, which I got working, it was probably on Monday, I sat down and just bashed it out, was doing the payment infrastructure for it. Mm-hmm. So I updated my Nginx project that I had from a few months ago, which it allows you to run a very simple service on a laptop machine or whatever, and it uses Nostr Wallet Connect to connect to a remote wallet, and then it can use that to generate invoices, take payments, define products, and all sorts of stuff. So instead of running like a massive BTC Pay server and going through like weeks and weeks of integration, I can just start this simple CLI tool, add a product, and then I drop the product ID into Ambulando, and now it says, right, okay, if you want a credit, you buy it from here. And so it can do payments for you, which is nice. And then it's got an interesting model, which is that you pay per hour.
Yeah.
So it's 4 sats an hour. So that's approximately like, 4 1,000ths of a dollar, whatever that turns out to in cents. So fractions of cents
today
per hour of use for today.
Yeah.
And then you buy it. So you have simple buttons for like, get me a day, get me a week, get me 21 days. And it just draws down every hour. And then if you run out, you don't get to use the app anymore. You can just export the data.
Yeah.
So, which is all encrypted to you anyway. So it's there should you want to keep it. And I thought, okay, that's quite an interesting,
very cool.
Just sort of way of doing something that you might want as like a little SaaS app. Like the barrier to entry is, you could spend a cent on it and try it out.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
But yeah, so that was just a little experiment that I put out yesterday. So that was my digital lemonade stand.
Very good.
That I've stood up.
I like this idea of digital lemonade stands because it really could be anything.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of it. And then obviously we're collapsing all of the friction around code and product development, and we've talked about this on the last few episodes, how this is all changing. But yeah, just like really small micro projects that you can build out that have very kind of niche purpose.
Yep.
It's the equivalent of that thirst quenching drink on a hot day.
Yeah.
For the people that just happen to be passing by.
Yep.
I like this idea. I know obviously Gigi did a much more eloquent job of going into detail on it. What episode was it again? It was
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it should have been 21 and it didn't quite work out. We couldn't get it done that week. We could have missed a week and then it would have been 21. Maybe
but the other question.
Maybe we should just rename the episode.
Yeah, we just switch them around now. Yeah. The other question though that I have, which I've had just broadly about product development, is if we can build all of this stuff, like what do we build? And like a lot of the time, I don't worry about the answer to that question so much. I'll just do it anyway because like the cost of it is so negligible, and if I break something, it's fine. It's good to just get an experiment out of your head, or a thought out of your head and onto a screen.
Yeah.
But there is this like I don't know, this question I often come back to is like, how do you prioritize what you should be building? What is the thing you should build today? And again, my approach to this is, I just do it for myself. Yeah. So that tends to take priority. But the digital lemonade stand is still you're building something for a small cohort of people.
Yeah, I mean, with the Ambulando stuff, it was very much that I was building that for myself. I was aware that other people would probably find it useful. Yeah. And I thought I wanted to build it in a way that respected me, so that I could run I could run it at home, and then I've got less worry about stuff being encrypted or not. It's slightly nicer for me if I run it on a remote server, so that even if I control that server, it's better for it all to be encrypted, because then I can write whatever I want into this, or I could track stuff that's a little bit more personal to me and not really worry about it. So that's kind of cool. And then the bit of the digital lemonade stand that I think was Gigi's initial thinking is, solid think boy. So there you go, friend of the pod, Gigi, was that we've kind of got all the bits. So with Nostr, we know we can rely on identity, and it gives us encryption. Like at the point that somebody logs into your app, you can make everything private to that person. So you can build stuff in a way that respects them. And then with Bitcoin, we have the ability to take payments without permission and friction. And so, I mean, we've talked about it a few times that we've had like stuff that we felt, like someone else might want to use this. Fucking payment infrastructure is such a pain, and then we're going to manage all this flow, and then we've got this issue, and I was like, oh, that's like, what's a really simple pattern I could use over and over again for just little apps, and if I build it once, now I can just reuse this. So that's where I was trying to get to with this, was like, all right, well, if I can use MGN, I don't even need to run a wallet. I just need to go find a wallet that does Nostr Wallet Connect. Right, okay, as soon as I've got that, I can do invoices, and then I'll just have a little proxy that does, all right, what's the product you're after and what's the amount? And then you have the app just respect that as a set of credits. And it can check that they're valid payments, it can verify all that, so that's cool. Yeah, and it just like minimal infrastructure, like just nice and easy. But so, I mean, on your next point about, you know, what to build, like I think that dovetails quite nicely with some of the iteration stuff that I was talking about.
Yeah.
But I think the answer is something, and it almost doesn't matter what. And like more and more, I've come to appreciate that like you don't have good ideas. Oh, sorry, it sounds harsh. So look at you and say those words. I think, as in the greater us. Like, as in, like it's not that you always just like imagine the idea correctly first time.
Yeah,
it's quite unlikely. It's the no plan.
Yeah.
Gets past being punched in the face or whatever Mike Tyson said. No plan survives first contact with being punched in the face.
That's it. Yeah.
Or with the enemy.
With the enemy. Yeah.
Yeah. So all good quotes. All
Yes,
good quotes.
all
Friends
very
of the pods. Mike Tyson. Probably a general of some sort, I guess.
Kind, yeah.
Like, who knows? Friends of the pod. And then, so I think you just start somewhere. Like, so I never really intended for that to be an experiment in how to sell credits, hourly credits online. Like I'm some sort of sleazy online hotel. But like, but there we are. That's what we've got. And then you've got like, like even like Marginal Gains that we've talked about recently as being like this new like Slack Discord type app, which is really a case of, I wanted somewhere where we could have like group discussion, which again, actually, like, it's interesting. Like most of my problems with like all the apps that exist in the world are something along the lines of like, oh yeah, that's quite useful, that app. I can see me using that. Oh, it doesn't respect me at all, in the least as a user. Like there's like no chance that any of this stuff is encrypted. Like there's no chance that any of this is private or not being solved anywhere else. Like beyond you just lying to me about that in your terms of service or whatever. Like it's all clearly visible to anyone that has this platform. I was like, well, we could just build versions that aren't that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, let's build like something that looks a bit like Slack, and then isn't that. And then it was like, oh, well, if I've got this, I used to have like an AI chatbot in Slack. I should probably just put an AI chatbot. Oh, it's really easy in this manner because I can just give it an npub. Oh, nice, sweet. And then it was like, oh, we need a task app. Oh, I should probably just add it into Marginal Gains because I built that from the start project that we use for the chat app. So I had the tables. I was like, oh, sweet. Now we've got tasks. And it's like, oh, we should track customer stuff. So, all right, now it's a CRM. Oh, sweet. Like, and it just, and then you go, oh, hang on a minute. This is becoming like the place where we do the business. Oh, that's interesting. And then I feel like it's like the more it's getting used, the more I realize that, oh, this is like a place where I can store and organize like chats and knowledge and various things inside the business and look at it prior to Wingman. And we talked about, did we talk about it on the pod last week?
I think we did, yeah.
I think it came
a little
up.
bit.
But yeah, the idea that like, yes, so, because often you pull up a Wingman session, you're like, it's a bit blank. And it would be, it's like Wingman should be the doer, and it's not necessarily the place to plan. Because when you're planning, it's not necessarily about to happen. So you sometimes just need to like, sleep on stuff, leave it a bit, think about it, come back to it, get a few different perspectives and inputs and stuff like that. And I like the idea that like you're like, the task on the Kanban board we were talking about before we started this was like that almost should be pre-Wingman. Is like it's in ready to go. And what that means is here's a task, and associated with this task is these threads and chats that we've had. And in those, there's, Wingman's giving feedback on the design as we're creating it, and that captures all the history that we've got up to with that plan. And then you've got the whiteboard that's associated with this. So here's all the sketches of the UI elements that we're talking about, or flows or processes that we can quickly map out on like a Miro like board that you're building. And then you've got like any other tasks that precede it potentially. You've got, like just documentation, various things, or any other references from the Marginal Gains app. And then when you hit send to Wingman, it goes to Wingman and pulls all that data across with it. And then it also then just like can moves it into the next box on the Kanban board and gives it a link to the Wingman session or multiple Wingman sessions that it then spins up to go and execute the work. And then you just dive into those to go and see how it's doing and carry on. I was like, you know what, that is sweet. Because then when you're in that Wingman session, you're like, because what I find is I'll be in Wingman and I'm like, next I need to do this, and next I need to do this, and next I need to do this.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing simple things in like UI tweaks and various things, I'll be like, that's easy. I'll just prompt chain them. And I'll just submit them all as prompts and we're ready to go. But it's kind of not like, if you want to go, I should also refactor this, and this. It's like, I can't stop and do that now because I'm in the flow of doing something.
Yeah.
Whereas they're quite naturally just new items on the backlog. So they should just go into the backlog. Inside the thing. So I think this is going to end up being quite a nice controller plane for Wingman. And then because they share like Nostr ID infrastructure, it's pretty, once you're set up to run on one, it's pretty seamless to then run across multiple, with the exceptions of how logging in on phones is a little bit dubious these days.
This has evolved as well. It's evolved quite a lot actually, just based around how we work natively.
This is not where I thought this was going at all.
It's quite interesting because I think I've spoken about how I tend to be a little bit more like deliberate. I think sometimes a lot of the conversation around like coding agents is like over optimized around speed. I mean, they're obviously collapsing the time it takes to generate code, no question. But what I quite enjoy in the process is actually just having conversations that help extract ideas out of my head, but also like create new ones or help me like dovetail a little bit. You kind of touched on that as well, but what I will do like quite deliberately is I'll have obviously like say Claude code running. I'll have another instance where I'm like just talking about the project, and I'll often like copy paste the summaries back across into the other instance just to talk about them. And I'll often like get that other instance to just say like, the objective here is to really just like help plan out this project and stage this sequentially so we know like what we're working on at the moment, so it makes sense. Like similar to what you were saying, like if you're in a flow working on like UI tweaks, let's just do this. But if there's something like bigger architecturally that we should work on, let's like stage that out in a bunch of phases and let's then go and deliver on that. But a lot of times I'm just like, what are the ideas that will naturally flow from having this like other conversation in parallel? And then like summarize those. And then what I'm doing quite manually, which is the piece that we're going to overcome now in Marginal Gains, is I'll often go into like a Miro board and start just dumping stuff in there. It's usually like really messy because I'm just doing it on the fly. Stuff that I'm like, that was a good insight, or that was a good point, or that was a good idea. And I'll pull it across into like a third space. And that is great if I use the third space. Sometimes I will, and sometimes I'll forget it was there. And I feel like by combining all of these different tools together, it like plays nicely to like a kind of operating discipline that you need to actually get the right kind of output and response from these coding agents. Because you are there to like inject that discipline, that operational discipline to a degree. And it's interesting because like I actually this morning asked that like second instance, just like we're like 3/4 of the way through something, and I was just like, can you just like summarize how we're working together and just give me your like honest assessment of how this is working? And it was quite interesting because it was like, obviously gave me feedback on how I was speaking to it, the kinds of questions I was asking, and it kind of positioned me as like a product designer, and it was like a technical lead, like project co-founder that was like operating between, like as an interface between me and the coding agent, and would often help me get a better understanding of what the coding agent had done, but then would also help me translate ideas that I wanted to go and, or even like even if it was something UI based, let's say like something really simple, like, and I just don't know how to describe what I'm seeing particularly well, so I'll just brain dump something into the second instance and go, just like clean this up for me, help me like devise a very like tailored prompt that I can give back to the coding agent, so I'm just not putting that stream of consciousness to the coding agent. So it's like I'm adding a layer, but it's a filter that then helps me get to the result faster, if that makes sense, because I just don't know what I don't know sometimes.
Yeah.
So I found that quite useful, but then I'm still having this like third space that sometimes I'll use quite well and sometimes I just won't use at all.
And that's on the whiteboard?
And that's on the whiteboard, yeah, generally. Or sometimes it'll be in my notes. Like, it kind of depends what it is.
I will be similar in the sense that I would often run like an Excali drawer in Obsidian or something like that, and then that would be that space for just dumping stuff out. And I would use that for planning. Sometimes I go, right, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and they're in a line. Right, so I'll do that one first, and it goes green when I'm done. Yeah. It's kind of like, all right, well, that's useful, but then if I try and like dip into something on my phone, it's accessible. It doesn't translate great all the time, or I just don't think to do it. Like as you said, like it's not really. It's off to the side. So you know, I could dump a bunch of stuff into that board, and then I can go and look at it if I want. But it doesn't easily get pulled into the session.
It is quite a divergence from how I probably was working 6 months ago. But like back then, it's almost like how we would traditionally build software. It was very much focused on like setting everything up from the start, writing out very clean documentation for the agents to follow. And I kind of just realized there's so much rigidity baked in here that actually, like the way we're working with agents, like it is naturally evolving. Like it's good. It's almost like I don't know if a garden is the right metaphor, but it's almost like you just create the environment for these things to grow. You don't know exactly how it's going to grow and how it's going to look, and you know how you need to adjust, like how you nurture the thing. But I feel like it's almost become, like for me at least, the kind of process is more like tendering to a garden than it is to like being like overly rigid with the documentation. I think that initial process was kind of born out of like more risk management between roles. Like you just have to have that clarity because different people are executing on different things. Yeah. So I've kind of stepped away a lot from that. Like I will still like try and stage out plans, like mini plans, but I won't necessarily have that documentation like living in a space where the agent is constantly looking at it.
So that's interesting because it's the same flow that I went through of my initial thought, and I think that we talked about this on the Where We Changed Our Mind podcast, episode 34, let's say.
Let's go with that.
Ish. Have a look. Just go to the YouTube, just subscribe and look at all the episodes.
There you go.
They're
Very
excellent. Good. Is that my intuition was that that's the way to do it. Is you get the plan and you let it run the plan and then you do it.
Yeah.
But then the plans, and the question was like, how big is the plan? Was the main thing. It's like you've got to do lots of very small plans. At which point I was like, nah, well if I'm doing such small plans, I may as well go slightly smaller and then just run hard. Yeah. And then get into this really quick, like OODA loop of creating something, checking it out, feeding back, check it out, feed it back, and adjusting the plan on the fly. And the problem with that is that you're just so low level and in the moment that you make a lot of those changes very quickly. And like sometimes you just come up from there and you're like, what did I do? Like it's just like it's hard to know like what you know. It's like I've made 1,000 changes, but I don't know what they were. Like I was just doing it in the moment. I was lost, and it's kind of nice because it's a nice flow state to be in. But it's not the best if you need to like tell somebody else like what happened. It's like I don't know. I did some stuff. Felt right. Like the vibes were high. Which is good. But and then I'm starting to step back now a little bit more into like, okay, and maybe it is just because the plans are getting like, so since I started using like the Claude Max and I just don't run out of Opus credits all of a sudden, this could be the difference, is that it is it's pretty solid at hitting plans. And so like the blocks of work I might expect it to do in sort of 10-minute chunks have grown. Because I think we said previously, like it's like you kind of need to like wrap up your feature in 21 minutes. Otherwise you've lost interest and moved on to something else.
Yeah.
And so like it can do a lot in 21 minutes. I'm like, all right, this is maybe that's why. But yeah, all of a sudden now I'm back to like slightly larger plans. It's not just everything's in my head. It's like, all right, we're gonna do this feature. This is how this feature's gonna work, and we'll go for a few iterations. And we down out a solid plan, and then it will do a pretty sizable chunk of implementation before I then test, and then we resolve in that very quick loop of resolution, and that's working astonishingly well.
Yeah.
Currently, so I'm a big fan of that. But it's definitely like a shift from like I'm like the pendulum of going from like, well, do I just need to plan everything and never really code, or do I need to just like dictate the thing live into like, okay, it's swinging back a bit towards the plan for me. But I think that's probably quite a natural, like we just don't know. Like, and as I say, like there could be a moment where you get used to working with this thing like that, and then all of a sudden Claude's retarded again because they've got a new model coming, like, and it's just been turned down, and you're talking to someone else. So it's, I think you need to be a little bit flexible with it, and like these things are more remarkably like humans than you'd want to admit. It's like, yes, sometimes they come into work and they're shit, and you wouldn't expect that from a computer, but it happens. And when they are, you've got to like change your own style of managing it to get like, oh, okay, this guy's clearly he was drunk last night, or there's some problems at home, or something's happening and I need to adjust, so I'll take an entirely different tack with Claude today than I was doing yesterday. That's just like seems so weird from working with software, but it seems to be what's going on. It's
interesting. I would say that plan. So the key difference for me is the plan exists in that second instance of Claude.
Yeah,
and it has allowed Oxygen to evolve, but Claude has an idea of how it should be, what the steps are, and how this thing should be like logically phased out, and then it will be able to like return to like where we are immediately. If I go off on one, I'll come back and just give a summary and just be like, okay, but where were we in like the broader plan?
Yeah.
What's next? And it's very good at like pulling me back on track, because otherwise I will just meander off into a dozen different directions and it gets messy. So it's almost like having an accountability buddy as well that is working alongside you, that's just like, do you know what, it's fine, I've got the bigger picture in my head and I've got the roadmap, and you go off and do your thing, but I'm going to pull you back every so often, or you're going to pull yourself back, but I'll be here when you do. And that's the way I treat it. And I feel like I don't know where that's come from. It's just evolved naturally. I think it's like also nice to just be like conversing with these things. It makes you feel like you're working with like, there are other intelligent life forms there that you can just chat to. And I think that's been quite a breakthrough for me. Whereas before it was like trying to get like very rigid documentation. And that would be problematic, because as you do evolve naturally with Claude Code, it's still got that base documentation there that it will keep having a look at every so often. And so you'll be giving it an instruction that may be diverging from what was in that documentation, but it's still sat there as a reference point.
Yeah.
Whereas I just don't have that now. Which is, again, it's more like the kind of the garden analogy. It's like we'll just change and evolve, and we'll do a few different things here, and we'll just see how the plant emerges over time.
Yeah, and I think that's quite reasonable as well these days. It's like, look, it's going to take it in a direction where it'll work with what it knows. Yeah. Kind of want it to work in an area that it knows quite well. Like it's then it's probably going to write better code. Yeah. So I'm kind of okay with that, and it will often like just come up with stuff that I haven't thought about, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's a much better approach to that. That's a good point. Yeah. So I think that works. And then I think the third space idea, it just makes, because even humans, as though, we're just so amazing at everything. But, humans are the same. Like, they get confused. Like, there's reasons why you don't have everybody involved in everything in a company, because, like, nothing gets done if you do that. You need to focus on something at a time. So, and it's like, they're just even more ADHD than we are. You know? So you really do need to keep a lot of the stuff out of the way. I mean, that is the downside of like when you do create these little plans inside, like, you know, the repo or something, is that they will just go and read them.
Yeah.
And it might be that what you planned, like, you know, 6 months ago, shouldn't even be taken as gospel anymore, and you haven't cleaned it up, or it's like, it just like, if they go and read that, it just kind of complicates how they're going to do this new thing that's got nothing to do with that plan. So it is useful to keep that stuff clean and away from the context window, I think, as much as you can. And if we've learned anything from agents, it's like they really can just like take everything that's like on your machine, hence putting them on their own machine, which was another dialogue that we were having before we jumped into this.
Well, we're talking about oh god, is it Co-Work?
Claude Co-Work.
Yes.
Yeah, which I haven't had a chance to try.
Neither.
Yeah, but
I just saw their release on X, but my initial thought was like, what can you do here that you couldn't previously? But I think the intention here is, again, it's just a cleaner interface for more people to get involved in this.
Which is a legit thing, right? That's
exactly
kind of what Wingman is to a certain extent, is just like, here's something that looks a bit more like what you might be used to seeing.
It's more accessible.
It's probably not the most accessible thing. It's written for me, by me. So it's accessible for me. And then anybody I tell how it works. But, but then my concern there is like, this is clearly, it looks to me like it's part of the desktop app, and you would just like YOLO it onto whatever computer you've got. And it's like, this thing just has now access to like everything on that machine.
Yeah.
Like, and I know they might say they're not going to just read it.
It's that you just trust
they
them.
don't quite know, and you know, the moment that it goes and reads a file, it's, you know, it almost has to ask. It phones home to ask to check whether it needs to read the file as well, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, you're just gonna leak a lot of stuff. Which, so part of the idea with Wingman was always like, this thing probably deserves its own computer, because we as humans can kind of rationalize that security model, where we say like, all right, let's just treat it as a person, and the person has its own computer. Now, does the thing know about the stuff on its computer? Like, well, I don't know, would a person know about the stuff that's on its computer? It's like, yeah, all right, well, there you go, you can understand that. Right? Saying like, all right, well, we invite him into a group, so now he knows everything that's in that group, in the same way a person that came into that group would know everything that's in that group. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. And it's like, it might not feel like the most obvious thing in the world that you have to like invite it into a chat, but if you don't, then it just, by the very nature of how these things work, it will just know everything. So it's like, can we not just have it in the background, and then it, like, whenever I ask it, it'll come in on like any chat? And it's like, yeah, that just means that it can see any chat. Is that what you want? It's like, oh no, I only want it to see the stuff when I ask it. And it's like, well, the best way to do that is to invite it in. And like make it quite an explicit human reaction. And if you're going to do that, you should probably do it at the same time you invite people in, because you already have that knowledge of saying like, oh no, this person can't see this because they're not in this group. That feels quite natural. So just treat it like that. As I say, no, he can't see this, he's not in the group. Okay, well, ask the question over there. Or something like that. But
interesting.
I wouldn't feel that comfortable, I don't think, just YOLOing Claude desktop to just have access to anything on my my file system.
It is interesting though, because I feel like we've spoken about
I mean, that's also what viruses do.
Yeah, well, exactly.
It's
it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like we've talked about a lot of non-code use cases for Claude Code. I can't even tell you which episodes they were, because I feel like we just like insert them every so often. They just come up in conversation, and it's always felt intuitive to me to use Claude Code for non-code related tasks.
I
don't know why.
Episode 31, non-code Claude Code tasks.
We do. Yeah,
check that out and subscribe.
So it is interesting to me that like this hasn't like caught on more than it has, and maybe it is just the interface that's been the obstacle. It might be something that simple, but
people are literally scared of terminals.
It's just it's interesting because
I hated it before. AI, because now I can just ask the AI what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I overcome a lot of these like obstacles for me personally. Is I'll just ask the AI, how do I walk? Just walk me through this. But yeah, once I realized that, Claude Code would just look in a folder structure, I was like, okay, well, what if I just put a bunch of like spreadsheets into a folder and then go, just have a look at this and start asking it questions and getting it to, it just seemed like that started a whole like progression of ideas. So it is interesting that it's kind of taken this long, but maybe it is just as simple as having the right interface to make this stuff more accessible.
I think part of it is that like, I imagine that idea has been around for a year or so, like in the same way that, at a similar time that you went, oh, I could just try this on files that aren't code.
Yeah.
I imagine they were doing it, and then they went, oh yeah, but we can't, they kind of suffer from being like a large enterprise business at that point. It's like, well, we can't just launch this.
True.
We need to turn it into a thing. So they end up having to make a whole bunch of like just decisions before they could do that. I mean, that's one of the nice things about just the building of the stuff for yourself, is that if you go, oh, can I? Yeah, I can. Oh, cool. Right, ship. And you can just make the change.
Yeah.
Like, why does it do that? That's annoying. Why can't I link it to? All right, now I can. Done. And then you have pain-driven development. You just go, what's annoying me today? This is annoying me.
This is what I really love about the marginal gains model, is because I think the big beneficiaries of all of this are people with domain expertise that are just going to be able to go and unlock these tools to help them do a bunch of shit that they couldn't previously do.
Yeah,
I think that is going to be massive.
I think so, and I think what you will really appreciate in the marginal gains model, sign up at otherstuff.ai, is chill mad. New year, new shills.
Yeah.
Is that like you're gonna want to be surrounded by other people doing these things, because like one thing that will drive how you develop all these things and when I say develop all these things, like partly it is code and partly it is just processes and like how you operate your business and various things.
Yep.
It's just the code part of that is just, there's no reason why you shouldn't have very, very unique systems in your business that do exactly what you want to make stuff happen. And that will be in code. Like it's like used to be in spreadsheets. Before that it was in books. Like now it's probably going to be in code, and it's just now you can do it yourself. But you're gonna get a lot of interesting ideas from other people sat next to you that are also doing stuff, and you can go, oh guys, I did this, and everyone go, oh fuck, that's sweet. I'll iterate on that idea, and then they'll try something and they'll add something interesting that you hadn't thought of. And then you go, oh, that could work in mine as well. Like, oh, I would use it like this, and then you'll use it in a different way, and then like software is going to look weird soon. Like it's just, I mean, as I said, I think there's some basics you want to get right about like how you secure things and like how you do sort of data structuring and how you build stuff in a way that you can keep building on it. But certainly the way you interact with it is going to get nuts.
I agree. Yeah. There's going to be a big unlock. I think the obstacle right now is still, again, it might be a question of, is the interface friendly enough for most people who are domain experts but don't know code, or rather think that it's not for them because there's a technical leap there. And that's what I love about this model, is it like obviously helps collapse that mindset, that obstacle that you have for a lot of people. So I think that'll be good. Yeah, it's be like a net positive for a local community as well.
Well, and I know from my own use of Wingman as well that there are multiple times where I go, oh, I should, like something comes like front and center in my mind of like, oh, I should fix this in that app. Yeah. And it's like, I don't want to go and start a new session and then jump into that and explain it now.
Yeah.
So I'll assume that I remember it in X hours. Whereas it would be good to just either drop that into like a chat thread or somewhere else that's a staging area. Like it could be a task, it could be a chat thread. It could be that there's just a chat thread that then Wingman comes along and creates tasks. Like, you know, it's just whatever. I don't know what the answer is yet, but it'll appear.
Yes.
We'll try a couple of things and one of them will stick.
Well,
and you go, okay, that's how you quickly capture tasks. And then maybe you'll come back to them, maybe you won't.
Yeah.
But it's logged now. And then we can expand on that task a little bit.
This is why I like the Kanban though.
Yeah.
I think the Kanban makes the most sense for this because like it is like a...
People love a Kanban.
People do, yeah. But it does make sense for it to be like operationally linked to what you're building as well. Like if you're going to have a third space, have one in an environment where you're also building.
Yeah.
Whereas like notes, I don't know, like they can, it's the same, it's the same criticism I have of like, I don't know, say ChatGPT or like the Claude desktop app. It's like so much shit just gets lost in conversations and you're never able to really retrieve them meaningfully.
Yeah.
And so that was always like a problem a year ago. It probably still is a problem. I just don't use the tool in that way anymore. But yeah, how do you go and retrieve that like nugget of an idea that you had that's now lodged deep inside like a broader conversation in some chat? You don't even know which one it is because it's just like difficult to go and search through those.
Yeah.
So again, like Kanban is nice because it's already in the environment you're working in, but it's also like essentially like more operationally disciplined because you've now gone, this is an idea or this is a task or this is like a new phase of work and it's just there. And your agent can go or Wingman can go and look at that and go, yep, cool, this is context.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense than like Apple Notes or... I mean, I do think the Miro board will be handy once we embed that as well next.
Here's the feature that I want that's always pissed me off about Miro, Excalibur and whatnot, is that I think boards should be recursive in a way that like... So if you look at like, say, the Kanban board,
yeah,
I would like every Kanban board to have a corresponding mirror, like, we'll keep calling them mirror boards, right?
Yeah.
So the board has a board.
Yep.
The Kanban has a board. Board means whiteboard, Kanban means task.
Yep.
Kanban. All right, that's the
lingo breakout. Yeah.
So that should have its own board. And that's because there's context that lives around that board that needs to go somewhere, but it's just subjective, like, it doesn't matter. But like one of the things that should happen on there is when I pull up that board visually, I should be able to just move like every one of the tasks on the Kanban board should just be represented on. And I should be able to pull stuff up and then I just write stuff next to it like these are all bullshit.
That's a good idea.
And it doesn't do anything to the Kanban board, it's just extra metadata that exists there. But then when I click on one of those, that task should be a board. So then I've got another board that opens up and just pulls into it. And he's just like trying to do something like that in Miro. It's just like it's painful. Yeah. Like you can kind of do boards and boards, but it doesn't. It's not.
You could similarly link the board the way we link Kanban items in the chat.
Yeah.
You could do it similarly there. So I feel like that would work. We just need to embed this.
Oh yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think. But this is how I want to then bring it into Marginal Gains like more fully. Is like, all right, well, once we've got the board engine working nice and sweet, right, every task becomes a board. That's number one, and then you go, right, now the board needs a board. And then like, what's the context? Like, at the moment we have boards for groups and boards for personal. So you'd have your personal board, and then your personal board has tasks, and those tasks have boards. Which, like, it's just, why not? It's all just, it's just cheap text metadata that we'd render on the fly. Like, so just make boards and boards and boards and boards and boards. And like, you need this for project management. Like, visual management is just is a thing, and like, not everything is a Kanban. Some things are like all the other mood boards and drawings that need a place to go.
Yeah, this is a good idea.
You don't really want to be in a file system with that. You just want to put it, and then at some point you can just archive that, and then that board should just go away, and it shouldn't clutter stuff up. But then we know when to archive it because the task is done, and we click the archive button. So fuck it off at that point.
That's it.
You know, it's known. It is known. Isn't that a Game of Thrones reference? Which is also a good reference back to your gardener analogy. You know, so George R. R. Martin used to talk about world building in fantasy books. He said there's two types. You have the gardener and the architect.
Okay.
I think it's the gardener and the architect. It might be the builder or something like that, but I think it's the architect. So then the architect like knows where they're going up front. And they're sketching the broad idea. They know exactly how all the main plot points are going to happen along the way. And then they just go and fill in the details of how it works. Whereas the gardener comes up with interesting characters and ideas. And they might have a vague idea of how it all ends, but they have no idea of how they're going to get there. Like, there's no arc that they're going. They're just saying, well, if you put this person with this person, how might that evolve? And then you just write over and over again, like, oh, it might evolve like this, and you read it, it's not quite right. And then you write it again, and you read it, and you write it again, and you read it. And so this is why like his books just go fucking nuts. Like, because they're like, well, that's just what would have happened if that person met that person. I don't know. Like, it didn't look like that at the start, but now it does.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Now, the downside of that is you end up waiting like 15 years for Winds of Winter.
It just never ends.
You're just like, fuck, wait, there's no way this guy... And he gets all touchy when you say, look, clearly you're going to die before you do this. So can we just have it... Can we like...
Get it done.
You know, or just like, can we get somebody else in? Like, you know, like we've read all these books. Come on, George.
We're ready. Hurry up. Yeah.
God, for a while I used to go on the... It's almost like 12 years ago or something. I used to like be on the A Song of Ice and Fire Reddit subgroup going like, is there any news that we get this fucking book? And it's like, I look like now and it's like, I've grown a child to like a fucking teenager. Like, what the hell, George? Come on, write a book.
What's happening?
I thought you were an author. Stop writing other books. Oh dear. But yeah, that's maybe the downside of the gardening approach.
It doesn't end.
So we should keep an eye on that. But I do like how it develops the software and you kind of discover its place. And I think it's very appropriate for these tools right now where we just really don't know how they're going to be used.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And as you say, also like how they all evolve as well.
Yeah. Or how you put them in the business.
Yeah.
You know, we've always had like opinions on these things and you obviously need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think that idea of like, well, how do you start? What's the thing to build? And it's like something. Because once you've got something, it's going to evolve.
Yeah.
And then you could always start, if you have another idea, just start another something over here. See how that evolves. And then see how they play in together. Because there's a bunch of stuff in Wingman, which is like around to-dos and groups and projects and things that I mostly leave switched off. That I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. Like I'm aware of why I did this. Because I was like, there's something here that I need, but I don't know what it is. So let me do something and see if it works. And then I'll be like, I'm just gonna remove that. But then as soon as I started Marginal Gains, I was like, oh, this feels appropriate here. Doesn't feel appropriate there. As we said, Marginal Gains is just such an excellent name for a methodology for working with AI. It's just like, you do stuff and you make it better and better and better as you go. Like, that's the methodology.
Which, if you think about it, it kind of runs contrary to like the way most people talk about AI. It's always like a quick gain that's like transformational and you've one shot at it. And it's like, I just think this is bullshit. Like, this is not the right way to think about it.
I think most AI stuff is sold on the promise of laziness, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's not
instant gratification.
Yeah, it is like everybody complains about the slop.
Yeah.
But that's also like why everybody seems to buy these things. Is they go, oh well, what we'll do is you'll say, hi, I'm Pete Wynn, and then we'll generate 100 million like AI videos from this and just push them out to your LinkedIn audience. It's like, oh, it's weird that would piss everybody off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just, I put all that work in to thinking about how I said that, and then didn't curate anything. It's just, but it's so clearly like good for the process when you sit down and use them that you're like, all right, well, there's clearly a middle ground here.
Yeah.
Like me curating what this thing builds means that it, like maybe that's it, right? There's like this infinite space of things that AIs could build. And if you don't talk to them, they don't build anything.
Yeah.
If you start talking to them, they start building something. But they build it within this infinite space. But the thing that needs to exist is like over here.
Yeah.
So your job is to guide it over there instead of going over there where it wants to go, quite naturally, because like it wants to go wherever. People talk about AI slop. They'll say like, it's just going to give you like the default thing, and they almost treat it like anybody that uses AI therefore gets just the default thing as the output from the AI, and it's like, no, that's not what happens at all.
Yeah.
Like it's somebody that's like really engaged with this gets exactly what they want. And so maybe that is the takeaway. It's like, look, it's going to build whatever it wants to build if you just let it do that. But you don't have to let it do that. You can just steer it. And you steer it over here, it's just going to build whatever you want to build.
Yeah.
Or it'll do whatever you want to do. But that's an active process. You have to be engaged in that. The question is, how much do you have to be engaged in it? And what other things can you build that help it know that it should be over there?
Yeah.
In the same way that's what you have to do with people.
Well, I think,
If you put a person in your company and say, run my company, And they're like, what company is that? And you say, I am not going to tell you that. And I just run the fucking company. It's like, what?
Also, do it really well.
It's like, why is there fish and chip stuff everywhere? And he said, well, I thought we might be a fish and chip company. I thought we were a fish and chip shop. You know, I saw the chip wrapper. And it's like, no, that was just my dinner. We make valves for oil and gas offshore. What the fuck is all this? Why is there so much oil here? And it's like, I don't know. You can't put chips in that. That's fucking industrial stuff. It goes badly.
Yeah.
You know, true story.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like something you've tried.
It's like, you know, it's day one. You know, we're all a little bit nervous. But like clearly, like that's, you know, it's a problem. So you have to do the work if you want to own the company. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is where the domain expertise comes back. It's like, what are you bringing to the table here? It's like, oh, you've just got years and years and years of understanding, like that you can bring to the table. That you can help direct and shape the outputs of this agent. Exactly. And previously, you couldn't do this without teams of people and a lot of capital and a lot of time and patience, because you needed to translate that like very specific, highly specialized domain expertise that you've developed over decades to someone who's very good at working with the computer, but may not understand the nuance and complexity of the stuff you normally deal with.
Exactly.
Like an energy markets operator, like very technical, very highly specialized. Not everyone has knowledge. Very few people have knowledge of how this stuff actually works in practice. I think that's going to be like being able to use these coding agents is going to be a huge benefit for people like that. Because now all of a sudden they're like, I can just go and build all of the tools that will be very handy for me, that I intimately need. The rest of the world doesn't necessarily need them, but I need them.
Yep.
And that's going to be great.
Nice. Is there a club of some sort set up by a couple of people that have been going through this process for a while where I could join that would help me with that process? Because I can imagine that sounds like what I want to do, but I'm busy. I don't know where to go. I don't know how
Well, it's
to get
funny
set
you
up.
say that, Pete. Yes, in fact there is. It's called Marginal Gains.
Okay, that sounds like a good club.
Yeah.
And I could sign up for that and learn
that.
more at otherstuff.ai.
That's the one.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Interesting.
Give that a go.
Interesting.
Good plug.
We're going to make it... I think we're reasonably aligned that we're going to make Marginal Gains just as a default public, so more people can come in.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a lot of private stuff in there because we can do that, because I can build software that respects us. So we can just make everything private to the group.
This is it.
But yeah, like that will be, I think that's going to be the goal, is anybody can start to join in, start to see some of the stuff that's happening that gets shared publicly.
Yep. So
we can talk about that inside that community, which, if you're on if you listen to the good stuff, if you're a friend of the pod, FOTPs, friends of the pod.
There you go.
We'll obviously get an early invite because we'll announce it on here.
Yes. And also, if you go to our website and sign up to our newsletter, we'll pop an invite in there at some point.
Yes, yeah. You know what we could do is we could just set up like a 7-day invite code or something, and we just announce the code on the podcast.
Good idea.
And then anybody that is a friend of the pod gets in on the friend of the pod thing, which then gets some special access to like an area inside Marginal Gains. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Claude, remember the friend of the pod idea. This is why we need
Where's
Wingman.
the Kanban?
This is why we need Wingman going through all the transcripts and just
It's true, actually.
like creating tasks from this, because that would actually be pretty cool. Because once we can do that from the podcast, we can just do that from any other call and meeting.
Yep.
Like why
are we not doing that?
Wingman, by the time you're reviewing this transcript, that will exist, right? So go and make tasks for these things.
Just put it in the show notes.
Assign them
I will read it if you put it in the show notes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
put it in the show notes as well, and then that'll remind us to build the thing that then lets you read the transcripts that does the stuff.
Yeah.
I need that. I can
handy.
sort of see. Yeah,
that would be very handy. Because again, there's this like friction that exists here where I'm like, oh, I need to go and like we need to remember it after the fact. Then you've got to go and pop it into that whatever that third space is, and then you've got to remember it when you have some free time.
Yeah, you got to remember it at the right time.
At the right time,
right?
yeah.
It's like location-based alerts. Remember when
Apple
started doing that?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this is going to remind you that you need to buy a hammer when you pull into Bunnings. And it's like, oh yeah, that sounds useful. And then it's like, yeah, but I'm never going to create those alerts for myself.
Yeah.
I will just assume with the arrogance
it is true, right?
of a man that I will just know the thing at the time. I'm also quite a big believer in that unless you know that that's the thing to do, it actually isn't as important as you think it is. Yeah. So stop making everything important and just see if you remember it or not.
I was going to say, like, I feel like maybe it was last, I can't remember if this was on the pod or not, but we talked about, like, Twitter bookmarks.
I think that was on a pod. Maybe it was last week. Yeah, maybe. I think we were sat in the garden.
It's a similar kind of thing, right? It is just a third space. It becomes a repository for stuff that you think is interesting that will be relevant for you at some point.
Never review.
But you just won't go back in and look at it.
Yeah.
And I do think that's partly down to the way bookmarks are designed. But I think it is also very much just we are deferring this to a later date, and it's not important enough for us to act on it in the moment. So
I think it's also because all of those bookmarks are dispersed.
Yeah.
You know, they need to be look marks.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like you can tag it from anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you can access it from anywhere, and then they're useful.
Yeah.
But so I reckon that's where you have like. But even that, it's like I don't want to have like all. I have stuff that I need to bookmark from my personal data, which I don't need to just be replicated, even if it is encrypted across a lot of other public databases where the NSA could grab it or whoever. I mean, not to be too paranoid.
Yeah.
But whatever, you know, I might lose my key at some point. So you think, all right, well, how do I do that with the stuff that's local to me? And it's like, all right, well, maybe I trust Wingman or a local version of Wingman to do stuff like that. So I can say, okay, well, if I mark anything inside this thing, then create a version of it, and then let's have my own database over here, which does stuff. But there's definitely like I think there's a massive need for like pluggable infrastructure for yourself.
Yeah.
I was. It's not ready enough to talk about. I was talking with Max, friend of the pod, last night. I was getting him set up on Wingman. I'm pretty sure he's a friend of the pod. He's mentioned it before. And I was like, one of the areas that I really want for so many different applications is just pluggable databases. So the database lives in my house, but it's used in your app.
Yeah.
And then I know that anything that's done in the app is like, the app's running on my browser. So like you could serve the thing, I run it inside my local browser. It reads from my local data no matter where I am, so I don't have to worry about whether I'm on my home network or whatever. And then anything that leaves the app is encrypted. And then we can use Nostr as the transmission layer for all of this stuff to make it nice and simple. But then at that point, I could almost have like SaaS apps, but I control all the data.
Yeah.
And then if I want to take that data and like decrypt it over here and use it for like my own personal analysis or whatever, I can. If I want to plug other apps into it, I can. I just have like a nice standardized data interface. It's like I need that. I also want the same thing with storage. Like, so for an app to work really well, you kind of need an S3 bucket and a database in the back end. A lot of the other stuff you can kind of do just directly inside the client. You can do client side for things like that. But you really do need, like, you don't necessarily need the server so much anymore. But you probably want a shared state database. And you probably want a storage somewhere, shared storage. And then maybe you can just you could do some compute functions as well that you run inside that. And that is a product that will be out this year.
Yeah, I like it.
And I know because I have like the idea mapped. And I have some Wingman sessions. So
very good. So
we'll be launching that, and we have a great name for it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you know the name, don't you?
Potentially. No, I do. I'm just playing coy on the pod.
Do we announce the name?
I mean,
or do we keep it under wraps?
I think we should breadcrumb it over a few episodes.
Okay. Well, that's the breadcrumb number one. God, there's no crows around that are gonna eat the breadcrumbs.
Well, we know you do a great crow impression, so there we go. Back by popular demand.
Fucking crow! I'm a fucking crow from West Australia.
There you go. I mean, that's not a bad place to. Do we cover all of the things we had intended to?
I don't know. Lemonade stands and iterations and loops.
I think we kind of did.
I don't know if we didn't really get into like how we've changed methodologies. We kind of talked about it a little bit. We could always go again.
I mean, it's going to keep changing, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, feedback in comments, please, guys.
Yeah.
Like more Crow impressions, obviously.
Let us know.
That's going to be a winner. Do you want us to go into methodologies? Like, it's useful to know. Like, or just text me if you've got invites. Once you're at Marginal Gains, this is going to be so much easier. You can just
This is true.
You can talk to us. Then we can do live. We can do go live like hangouts and stuff.
We do.
I added calls to like we should try it. I haven't done it yet. So media over quick like hangs. So this is like a direct peer-to-peer voice and video calling solution, but no, the server just introduces you. Yeah. And then you just stream everything live. So we'll see how that works.
Give it a go. Yeah. I like it. Awesome.
All right. That's the good stuff.